This is Razia Iqbal with Newshour live from the BBC in London. Now for some science on infants that could be a game changer. Groundbreaking technology which allows doctors to examine the brains of very young babies while they are at home interacting with their parents or carers. Dr. Rob Cooper is a physicist and biomedical engineer at University College London. He has led the team that has invented this new piece of kit. He's been telling me more about it.
This is a culmination of several years of work, not just by me, but by physicists and engineers and psychologists and clinicians across UCL and Cambridge University and our collaborators at Gow Labs. So what we've demonstrated in the paper published today is basically a wearable cap. It's a bit like a swimming cap. And in that swimming cap, there are a series of small hexagonal electronic sensor modules. And those modules tessellate together to kind of cover the scalp. Now, each of those modules emits and detects near-infrared light, some of which travels down to the brain and back again. So we can measure the change in how much light comes back to the surface of the scalp and infer from that changes in oxygenation in the brain. And that means we can use this wearable cap to produce images of brain function without having to put the baby in an MRI scanner.
This is better because the infant can just wear it doing ordinary things. It doesn't have to be sitting still and being examined.
Yeah, so, for decades now, scientists and doctors have been able to create images of brain activity using methods like functional magnetic resonance imaging or fMRI. Although fMRI is a brilliant tool, it has a few major limitations. So anyone who's had an MRI at hospital will know you have to remain very still. So studying babies who are, say, 6 months old with existing technologies like fMRI basically means they have to be asleep or sedated. And the knock-on effect of that is that you can't really study a lot of the really interesting things that are happening in the brain in infants. So the development of movement or language and social interactions. So all of those fascinating things haven't really been accessible to neuroscience.
Now that'll open up all kinds of areas that people have been interested in but not been able to get data on.
Yeah, exactly right. So scientists have used light to study the brain before, which is what we're doing. We're taking advantage of the fact that tissues are relatively transparent to red and near-infrared light. They've previously had to rely on heavy optical fibers, like cables, basically attached to the scalp. So what's different here is the technology we've demonstrated miniaturizes all of the sophisticated electronics into a lightweight and wearable brain imaging device. And that's important for two reasons. All the electronics is miniaturized, we can collect somewhere like 10 to 100 times more measurements than we've been able to do before, which scales with image quality, so we just get better images. But the second reason is because it's lightweight and wearable, it can be applied while the baby's awake, while they're moving around, which means we can study the infant brain in almost any environment, including the home or during natural play or while babies and parents interact, for example.
What sorts of disorders and conditions might you learn more about?
There's a huge amount we don't know about the healthy brain in this age range, but our long-term hope is that this new generation of technologies will allow us to learn about how a healthy brain develops and ultimately use it to establish new ways of diagnosing and monitoring conditions when things do go wrong, so things like autism and cerebral palsy. And we have another study actually underway